All right, welcome to another edition of our production mastermind. We've got Matt, and I almost texted you this morning. I didn't know if it's Plumer or Plumber. Plumber. I was going to go with Plumber. Matt Plummer's here, and I had the honor of meeting Matt at our Build conference earlier this year. AJ hooked us up and said, this is someone that needs to come into our world and share his unique giftings and his focus. And it's an angle that I think, well, I don't think, I know that what's going to come to the real estate market and just to the economy in general, what you're going to deliver to us today is really, really needed and timely. So Matt, without further ado, give yourself a brief intro so there's some context to the conversation, and then just roll into your stuff.
Awesome. What's up, Jesse Gomez? Good to see you, man. So yeah, thanks, Lars. Thanks, AJ. Man, 10 years ago, I was not the person that you're going to hear from today. I was an alcoholic. I was an addictive sports gambler. I smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. I weighed 300 pounds. And I share that with you because where you are today, we're going to uncover some the 3 steps to a transformation, and especially a financial transformation. Where you are today, it's okay to be there. However, it's not okay to stay there. And just know that wherever you are today, you can change. I changed, and it took me 11 months to lose 100 pounds. It took, after we lost 100 pounds, or after I lost 100 pounds, I realized I was $500,000 in debt. And over the course of the next 40 months, I reached out to the people who where they were where I wanted to be, and I just did what they said. Lars hit it right on the head. If you want to be where AJ is, and you get an email or a text message from AJ, read it. Like, he's a smart dude. There are a handful of people that have what he has, and there are hundreds of thousands that want it. So if you get communication from Lars and AJ, just do it, right? If you're on this call, take notes. Like, there is no shame, no blame, no guilt. This is going to be a lot of awareness and some action. Just know that it's okay. But the first step to any transformation is awareness. Hey, dude, you're 300 pounds. You don't fit on the couch. We probably should lose some weight. You and your wife make 200 grand a year, and you're $500,000 in debt. We probably should look at how we handle our money, right? It's just the facts. It's absolutely just the facts. The facts are truth, and the truth is going to set you free. So I went, we spent 40 months. We followed Dave Ramsey's plan, Financial Peace University, to a T over the course of 40 months. And when I say to a T, gang, we did not try to Matt and Melinda-fy this. We didn't try to add any special sauce. We just did the work for 40 months. And we eliminated $500,000 worth of debt. And that got me into real estate. And quickly, as I was in a market center in Reston, Virginia, five and a half years ago, cannot believe it's been that long, I was listening, and I had never sold a house, but I was listening to real estate agents. Talking about selling real estate next month to pay last year's taxes. And knowing that I'd gone through a significant financial transformation, eliminating all of the debt, I quickly put together that said, hey, my impact in this real estate space is not going to be helping buyers and sellers go buy more real estate. It's going to be helping real estate agents go make a ton more money and know what to do with it, because I had been where they were. My widget was, I was selling a $3,000 move, around town, or a $10,000 move across country. I wasn't selling a $500,000 house. Right. So when our widgets are bigger, right, and when we, if we make more money, it's just a bigger reflection of who we are. If you go out and you make more money and you're a jerk, unfortunately, you're just going to be a bigger jerk. But if you're a giver, like Lars and AJ, and you make a lot more money, you're going to be able to be a bigger giver. And that will give you more energy to go make more money, to go impact more people. And so, you know, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today, we might get into the weeds a little bit. I do want to leave some time for some Q&A afterwards, because some of the stuff that we talk about will either, you know, strike some questions, and the easiest way to ask, you know, to get the answers is to ask the questions live, right? You know, I can promise you, I'm looking at Jeff. Jeff, if you have a question, I promise you, there are 17 other people that have that exact same question. They just don't have the guts to ask it, right? So if you have a question, put it in the chat, and then AJ and Lars we can kind of go back and forth and, you know, answer those at the end to do some live Q&A and maybe even a role play, right? But we're all in this, you know, we're all coming out of the greatest spring, summer, and fall in the history of real estate. Period. I mean, I didn't even try to sell real estate in 2020, and I think I sold $7 million. Like, I was the world's greatest real estate agent. Like, all of my listings sold for over ask. Like, just ask me. I was the world's greatest real estate agent, right? I was perfect. I batted 1,000 in the years 2020 and 2021. That's not the case anymore. Like, you've got to be in the trenches, and you guys are doing such a great job. You have tremendous leadership. You all are the world's best real estate agents. My job is to help you after you make the money, after you close the deal. So what do we do with the money? There are 5 mistakes that agents make that I've uncovered after thousands of phone calls and conversations over these past 3 years. That I've uncovered that agents, there's some facts and some truths, and then there's 5 mistakes. Lars, I have the ability to share my screen, I believe. All right, cool. So one of the things I've created is a proven system for agents looking to exit the transaction treadmill and achieve financial peace. Right? We all, especially at EXP, we talk a lot about the transaction treadmill, exiting, helping agents get from point A to point B, right? Help them get that freedom that we all look for and we all joined real estate for, but we all know that it doesn't exist unless you have a handful of things, a very few things in place, right? One of those is, how can I earn money, enough money? What can I do with it over the next X amount of years so that I can actually stop selling real estate? Regardless of our agent count, regardless of our rev share size, regardless if we have a team or we're a solo agent, there are ways to do this, and there are especially ways to do this through a market shift. So we're gonna walk through this system. And like I said, if we have some time afterwards, we can role play and actually go through some scenarios. So at the end of this, I will actually, if you all write this down, the website is the www.financialmistakes.com, financialmistakes.com. I'm going to put that in the chat here. It's my gift to you, financialmistakes.com. Go there, download the ebook. It'll give you more in-depth. It's a free download. It'll actually also give you access, if you would like, to join my my private Facebook group called Budget Hackers, where we talk about some of this stuff. But this is an easy way to get some of the content that we're going to talk about and that you can take with you and go from there. Talked a little bit about this earlier. My wife and I, you know, we've gone through a significant physical, financial, spiritual transformation. You know, paying attention to money at the very front of this in 2014 led me to accept Jesus in 2015. As I was going through our budget and I was giving, we were able to give about $25, making 10 to 12,000. We had $25 left, and my mentor said, "Hey, dude, your budget's upside down. Let's give out of the $10,000, $12,000 instead of giving out of whatever's left." And so that sent me on a journey to understand what the Bible said about money, and ultimately led me to accept Jesus. So if the worst thing that comes out of this, you handle some money and and you get clear on your core values and understand where giving is a part of this, then I've done my job. One thing on this, and I'll share at the end, kind of where we are today. So the big question is this: how do we increase our net worth and grow our wealth without a consistent income? Thousands of conversations, I've uncovered that the two things that stress real estate agents out the most: inconsistent income and disorganization. Can I get an amen? We've all been there, right? Inconsistent income and disorganization. I take it a step further and say financial disorganization. Here's what we know to be true. Obviously, the two things that give agents the most stress and anxiety are inconsistent income and disorganization. Agents make less than they think. The number one thing when I have a discovery call with a real estate agent, whether they're in my group, whether it's a brand new coaching prospect, they don't know how much they make. No clue. And it's less than they think they make. Agents, and I'm just going to cross that out, guys, we all spend more than we care to admit. There's no judgment here. We all spend more than we care to admit. So when agents make less than they think, spend more than they care to admit, that's business and personal, it causes them to be behind on taxes and or retirement, which starts the whole thing over and forces them to keep selling more real estate. So when you keep going around the wheel, it all comes back to consistent income and organization. So if we have a consistent income, whether it's one deal a month, like we're just getting started, but if we can build that rhythm of one deal a month, 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month, one agent a month, one agent a month, one agent a month, start building that consistency with a plan and a path to our money, our stress and anxiety is gone. When we know how much we make out of every deal, when we live on a written plan, a cash flow plan, a cash management system, a budget, call it whatever you want, spending plan, and we stick to it, that will allow us to say, hey, we're going to save this much for taxes and we're going to save this much for retirement before we spend any money. Okay. So this is the plan. This is what most real estate agents do. And I don't want to pick on real estate agents. It's just because that's what we are. That's who we are. This is every business owner, by the way, guys. This is the majority of business owners out there. All of their money, the closing goes into an account, one account, and then everything is spent out of that account. So $20,000 comes in, and then we pay all of our money and all of our expenses out of it, right? We pay our mortgage, our car payment, our house bills, our debt, our food, our expenses, our lifestyle. It leaves no room for taxes, retirement, investing, and savings. It's just like I was in 2014, making $12,000 and having $25 to give to my church. There's nothing left. For those of you who are coming to Las Vegas, you're going to see, I think the Mandalay still has their buffet open. Some of the world's best buffets pre-COVID were in Las Vegas for $19.99. And so when we handle our money this way, it's kind of like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet in Las Vegas with the biggest plate. And how much food are we going to put on that plate? We're going to fill that sucker up because we're going to start at the prime rib, then we're going to go to the barbecue, and then we're going to go to, the desserts, and we might get a little bit of vegetables on there, but we're going to fill up that plate because we just lost or we just won or whatever. Right? And then how much of that food are we actually going to eat? What did Mama tell us? Right? Mama told us to clean our plate. So we're going to take the biggest plate, fill it up with the most food, and we're going to eat all of it. And then how do we feel? We feel terrible. Right? We just consumed 4,000 calories, half of it's carbohydrates, and we have no energy the rest of the day. and we just gained weight, right? Our body can't process that much food. So when you want to lose weight, when you want to have more energies, right, which causes these mistakes, right? No plan. We run our business on credit now because we're just backpedaling, right? We've already eaten the food. We can't get rid of it, right? So now we have no money, we have no food left. So when it comes to our money and we don't have an order, we don't have an order of priority, we don't have a path of money, right? You see that third mistake down here. It's probably the number one mistake other than a plan. But the 5 mistakes are there's no plan. We didn't have a plan to go to that buffet. We just went into it. You know, so if we don't have a plan on when we're going to stop selling real estate, it will force us to not run on a budget, and we'll run our business on credit. And if we run our business on credit, we're not going to have a cash flow system. And if we run our business like this up here top, we're not going to have any savings and we have no exit strategy. So what do? The hardest thing on the planet for real estate agents to do is to slow down long enough and treat their business like a business. Be the owner of your business. If you're a solo agent, you are everything in your business until you've earned the right to hire your first person. So who here has read the book Profit First? Okay. I don't see a ton of things. I see a couple of the hands go up. Profit First is a cash management system. It's teaching ourselves to run our business correctly. Okay. So when we have our business set up and we say, okay, I'm going to take all of that same amount of food, all that same amount of money, and I'm going to put it on one plate. But before I do anything with it, I'm going to carve out profit for myself, the owner. And then who's the next and most important person, right? If the owner is number one, who did the work? You can come off mute if you want to answer this.
Staff.
Yeah, you, right? So if we're the owner, we get paid with profit. If we did the work, we get paid for the sale, right? If we went out and sold the house, now who does the work? Now who needs to get paid, right? We need to pay the government. And then the business expenses, all of these are little plates, right? All of these are little plates. And then last thing is business savings, right? It's untalked about. It's just not talked about in you know, in our world of handling money, is to saving for future expenses, saving for future opportunities. We're all going through a shift here, right? Savings actually should be moved up to the top in this day and age, right? Because if you have a coach, if you have admin, if you have virtual assistants, if you're paying for pay-per-click business, or you're paying for client events, and you have a down month, can you afford to stop doing that stuff? No. So you have to have 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 12 months of cash set aside just for when we have a month of inconsistent income. You've just created consistent income by having cash on hand. Okay. So we'll come back to that, right? But does anybody have any questions on that path of money that I just went through? It's the number one mistake agents make, I believe. It's not the number one mistake I talk about in the book just because of how it flows, but I think tactically, it's the number one mistake agents make.
One of the pushbacks, I'll ask it in the form of a question, but one of the pushbacks that we get with just the profit first methodology and, the multiple accounts and you having been through financial peace. And if you did it like true, you had the envelopes or what,
Sure.
is that it's just too hard. It's too much effort. Why would I set up all those accounts and have separate accounts at different banks? And, so that's just the natural pushback. And most people read the book and like, great book, but they don't implement it.
Yeah. And it's the number one reason. I've talked to Mike about this. It's the number one reason. I think he says it in the Audible. It's the number one reason why he front loaded the book so heavy, because he knew that people were going to they can get through 2, 3, 4 chapters. They're not going to get through 12. So he said, I'm not going to put all this stuff throughout the book, right? I'm going to front load it, right? If you read the one thing, there's gold all the way through that entire book, all the way to the very last page, right? But if you read Profit First, you just need to read the first 3 chapters. Like it's 90% of it's there. That's why I said with us, majority of agents, high producers being Ds, Lars, high Ds, like, it's like, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to do this? I can tell you, it's the number one way that you can run and operate your business and be profitable. The agents that are doing it, that slowed down just long enough to go to the bank for 2 hours out of a 40-hour work week and set up 7 bank accounts. You only have to do it once. And then every day and every week, pay attention to your money. If you pay attention to your money's going to grow. Your business is going to grow. You're going to be more aware. Right? Awareness, decision, intentionality. Those are the 3 steps to any transformation. Become aware, make a decision. You know what? I'm going to do profit first. I'm going to stop using credit cards. And then I'm just going to be intentional about every dollar that I spend.
Yeah, there's a question. So once these mistakes are made, so this is a person on the other side of the mistakes,
Sure.
or maybe just asking for somebody else. How do you find the right professionals, accountant, et cetera, to get back on track and organize financially?
Yeah, great question. So the mistakes are lack of a financial plan for the future. So I would say you always go back to step 1, right? I mean, Russell Brunson says it's hook, story, and offer, right? So if your funnel is broken, it's hook, story, or offer. It's not anything else. So we always go back to the hook, the story, the offer, right? In your marketing, it's always going to be one of those 3 things. It's never anything else. And so we always come back to a lack of financial plan for the future. How much longer am I going to sell real estate? What do I want to do as I sell real estate? I mean, who here would actually enjoy real estate more if they knew that, hey, in the 10 years, I'm going to stop selling real estate. I only have to go, need to go sell this many more houses and I'm done. Because I'm going to do this, this, and this with the money along the way. I'm going to save for retirement. I'm going to save to go buy rental properties. I'm going to go, buy an Airbnb. I'm going to go learn. That's what I want to go do. So when you have that plan, so if you've made the mistakes, go back to plan 1, step 1. Let's plan for the future, right? Maybe that's a financial planner. Maybe it's reaching out to me and it's a journey for us, for a financial coach for 6 to 12 months, right? That can help point you in the right direction. Here's a great CPA. Here's a great bookkeeper, to help you build that plan in addition to, in alignment with your business. Mistake 2 is living beyond your means and living in debt. God, we gotta get out of debt, gang. We have to get out of debt. Don't master the path of money. That's what we spent the last 10, 15 minutes on, mastering that path of money. Think of profit first, everyone, as a path to your money. Whose responsibility or who earns the money out of every $10,000? Because I think if we break it down that way, Lars, and say, hey, out of every 10 grand, the owner gets this, the person who sold it gets that, the government gets its money, and the business gets whatever's left. And we just want to be mature, responsible, professional business owners. And that's the way that professional business owners handle their money. The ones that are winning at all-time high levels. Right? So if you've made those mistakes, it's okay. Everything is fixable. Everything that we're talking about today is fixable. None of this is open heart surgery. If I was if my wife and I were $500,000 in debt and we owed the government, timeshares, cars, credit cards, personal lines of credit, student loans, if we did all of that and our mortgage, if we made all of those mistakes and unraveled it in 3 years and went from negative $140,000 of net worth to 850-ish now, like everything is fixable. This is money. It's all fixable. Okay.
And there's a quote in the book. I think it's worth mentioning. Mike says, putting your nose to the grindstone is a really easy way to cover up an unhealthy business. We think that if we can just work harder, longer, better, if we just hold out, something good will happen one day. And I for sure see that in real estate. Like I just got to sell more homes, and there's going to be this sort of event that happens that all of a sudden makes everything right. But guys, this is like, I don't know the analogy or the reason how I could drive this home. This is the whole game of wealth. It is a small systematic digging out and piling up cash, or spending less than you make and investing the difference. And there's no monumental event that will happen. There's not enough real estate sales you can do to be able to become wealthy.
Unfortunately, there is not enough real estate to sell. You cannot sell enough real estate to out earn your spending. You just can't. And so when the person, Lars, I know you're a believer, and I know that you lead through that. When you surrender and you have the ultimate surrender, all of this is so much easier. We can't outwork God. We can't outgive God. We can't do any of that kind of stuff. You guys, we can't outsell our spending. Mm-hmm. You just can't do it. And it doesn't matter what market you're in. It doesn't matter what lifestyle you currently have. You can't do it. And that's where, when we come back to consistent income, predictable income, reoccurring income, leveraged income, like, it does make everything, it takes all the stress and anxiety, whether it's $500 or $50,000, right? It just makes it so much easier, and it removes the stress. And so if you've made the mistakes, everything is fixable. Reach out to me, right? This is literally what I do 25 hours a week. I have 35 agents in my coaching calendar right now that all are going through this because they had the willingness to go learn, and they said they were aware, they made a decision, now they're intentional with their money. Right? I've got CPAs I work with, I have bookkeepers I work with that can undo all of the mistakes that we've made.
Real quick, any opinion on, I have not read Profit First for real estate, but any opinion on the different verticals that he's sort of white labeled the book?
I think, so I've skimmed through Profit First for Real Estate Agents that Damon wrote. It's very similar, but Damon has really keyed it into real estate agents. And I think real estate agents, as they read through that book, will be like, yep. Okay. Yep.
So it probably deals with the lumpiness of commission checks versus like
a lot of inconsistent income stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay, good. Another quick, two quick questions. Any opinion on using a credit card during the month, paying it off each month? Or, I mean, I use two Amexes in each of my business, but I just pay them off weekly. Any opinion on using credit at all?
My coach will do this. Yes. Here's the dirty truth. If you use credit in any way, shape, or form, especially on daily spending or monthly spending, you're going to spend more money. 100% fact. If you use a credit card and then pay it off weekly or pay it off monthly, you're going to spend more money than if you used a debit card. And it's very close to 20%. Because you just don't feel it. Right? It helps smooth out your cash flow issues, right? At some point, it's going to catch up. I have a saying that, juggling credit cards or playing with credit cards is kind of like playing with swords or juggling swords. It's really cool until you trip. For people that work with me, the first thing that we do is we go to all cash or all debit for the first 6 to 12 months, depending on where you are. We have to build that muscle. Now, once you earn the right, using a credit card is a right, right? Lars has earned the right to use it. He's probably not quite in the 20%. He's probably in the minority of spending more than if it was debit versus credit. It's just simply out of ease for him. He's earned the right. He's paid attention to this stuff for years. Right? I've earned the right. I don't even love doing it, but I do it a little bit, right? So I would say that depending on where you are, I would go all cash, all debit for 90 days. Especially as we go through a market shift where it is very uncertain. We do not know what rates are going to do. We don't know what cross pricing are going to do. We don't know what the public's going to do, right? Our income is based on the public, right? And very emotional decisions when it comes to buying and selling real estate. So I would go all cash as fast as possible.
Yeah, Tina's comment's really cool. She says, since we went to all cash, it's hard to pull the trigger to buy something. It's totally different psychology.
It is. It totally is. We have a guest that's coming to EXPCon that we helped compensate, and I'm like, help them get there, paid for a flight or something like that. And I'm like, I looked at it and I made sure that I had the cash set aside for that before I went and did it, right? It makes all the business sense in the world to help someone get to the event. But I'm like, if that's going to put my business or my family in jeopardy, $1,000 flight, $1,000 hotel, whatever it is, like, you have to pay attention. It's so easy to put that on an Amex and just deal with it later. Right. Next thing you know, you spent $7,000 for a person to come to Las Vegas that either one doesn't join or two sells 3 houses a year. Right. Because it was easy, because there was not cash, it was credit. And so that would be my biggest thing is, for those people is I would go cash for 90 days and make that your commitment. Right. Coming out of this conversation, what are the handful of things that an agent can do, right? What's the number one thing a real estate agent can do, period, on a daily basis?
Prospect.
The number one thing a business owner can do is to manage cash. And the thing that I always encourage everyone to do, when you bring it all the way back to the now, when you bring everything back to the smallest common denominator, it's reviewing your bank account on a daily basis. It doesn't take very long. This morning, the first thing I do when I get to my phone time is I open up my bank app, I log into my personal bank account, and I just make sure that what I thought has come out. There are no surprises. I don't know if I have this number right. And I think I'm going to be short. but the banks, the big banks, $22 billion earned from overdraft fees annually. That's people just not paying attention. So what's the one, you literally the number one, you have it, and most people have an overdraft fee every now and then, right? Pay attention to your bank account, make sure it's not going to be overdrawn. Know what's coming out the next 4 to 5 days. Make sure you have cash, right? So the first thing I do is I look at my bank account, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be personally, and I log into my my OpEx account and make sure that everything has coming out that should, and nothing has surprisingly come out. Annual subscriptions, right? You sign up for a $100 a month, and you pay that annually. It's $1,200, and you don't remember it or you don't recognize it, and that sucker comes out on a slow month. It can wreck you for the next 30 to 60 days. And I know we're talking about little numbers, but guys, I see this daily. I see it daily. Agents that don't have a closing 1 month have 3 closings, and then 2 closings fall through, or one gets pushed to the next month. The big one, right? The $1 million closing gets pushed a month, right? It's so easy to get caught up. And I just encourage everyone to this is the time where we do all of our business planning. I just encourage you to take a hard look at this money stuff and really dive into what really matters. Transferring the money, making sure it's there. What's my pipeline look like? All right. Do I have enough runway to get to December? And that's where, from a strategy standpoint of getting through this shift, if you don't have it, I would stack 3 to 6 months of cash as fast as possible. Cash is oxygen for us as humans. It's oxygen for our families, and it's oxygen for our business. I would highly encourage everybody to really tap pause on what it is they're saving and investing. Depends on where you are, right? But if you're selling 1 to 3 houses a month, and you've got a nice rhythm going, or you're maybe a little scared or a little anxious, that cash savings will help smooth out the upcoming bumpy ride that we could have. I would just tap pause for the next 3 to 6 months and stack up as much cash as possible.
And I would say this is not even a struggling agent issue. I've coached guys doing 600 units that were, didn't have 90 days of cash saved, personally or in the business. So it's just an evil that's in our business that nobody talks about. But I want to let you get back to the 5 things.
Yeah. So, like I said, we've spent a lot on the master the path of money. Not having emergency funds, like we just touched on that. If you look at Ramsey's baby steps, he has starter emergency fund, pay off your non-mortgage debt, and then build up your fully funded emergency funds. I believe that is 100% wholeheartedly true for those that have predictable reoccurring monthly income. If you have if you're an agent that is on this roller coaster, on the entrepreneur roller coaster, or the income roller coaster, I'd take the first step I'm taking a hard look at is cut expenses. Saw somebody up there, 10-15% out of the box, at home and personal. That'll help you create some margin, right? This is living beyond your means, right? Cut expenses. We just don't need it. We're in the greatest business on the planet that we can generate every lead that we possibly need. We do not need to pay for a single thing, period. It's
really
people.
easy way, just an easy way to do that. It's been a while since I've done it, but I did it recently where I just printed out 6 months on paper of so 2 businesses, my one Amex, my other Amex, and then our personal account, our spending account, 6 months printed. Took me about 4 or 5 hours, but I found $6,000 a month.
Easy. It's the thing that I have everyone start doing, Lars. Again, it goes back to the bank accounts. Why do I need it? I don't want to slow down to do it. Go print out. Now this is the ebook, but go print out your last 6 months of bank statements. Take the weekend and just knock it out. What no longer is serving you? It's there, right? And then waiting too long to start and never saving for retirement. Right? I mean, younger and younger people are coming into our business every day, or the industry. And my client base is getting older and older. And they come to me and they're 55, right? I mean, the average, I would just say the industry itself, has a longer lifespan. But I mean, the majority of my coaching clients are 45 to 60 without a 401k, because they came from corporate America, or they lost it in the divorce, or they didn't save for it when they were in corporate America, and they've been a real estate agent for 15 years and they've just never saved money. We're just never going to get there if we don't save first, right? We'll give first, then save. We're just never going to get there. And so those bank accounts, right? The bank accounts help all of that. My buddy Josh Rogers, who's an agent at EXP as well. And if you all are ever looking to grow your real estate business organically on YouTube, hit up Josh on YouTube. Josh Rogers team, or Josh Rogers Real Estate on YouTube. He's incredible. And he says, his mentality now is, I think he has 14 bank accounts and he has only one goal: fill them all up as fast as possible. And then you get to a point where you just start losing track of where your money is. It's just in so many places. So go set up the bank accounts, gang. Go set them up. Read the book, Profit First for Real Estate Agents. Download my ebook. Walk through these mistakes, right? And know that there's no shame, no blame, no guilt, because the majority of us have made all of these, right?
Yeah, Matt,
go ahead.
Let me tell, now that we've heard you speak about this as an expert and an authority, say your journey real quick again, and then I have a specific question about getting spouses on board. But you went from X in the hole to Y in the positive, and how long? Because that's like, there are some people that are listening right now that are X in the hole, and there's so much shame, there's so much hopelessness, so what were your numbers again?
So when we started, we had $551,000 in debt. It was about $250,000 of consumer debt that we owed other people, non-mortgage debt, and about $300,000 that we owned on a townhouse that wasn't worth. It was barely worth what we owed. And over the next 40 months, we increased our income, we cut lifestyle, we sold as much as we could. We went as close to not being beans and rice as you could be. Now, this was in 2014 and 2015. I did not have the skills I have today. I did not have the influence I had today, right? My wife and I just went to work. She was $29,000ing us to death, and I was $29,000 us to death. Mine was a lot more fun, BMWs and timeshares. Hers was Amazon and Groupon. No fun. But we got on the same page because we had similar goals. And, the first handful of months, it was dragging her to Financial Peace University. I joke around that
Talk about that.
Yeah,
Talk
I
about that.
joke
How do you get on
around.
the same page as a spouse?
I joke around that there are still heel marks going down Loudoun County Parkway from our house to church. They're still there. And the number one thing that I did is I fell on the sword. I messed up. I'm taking responsibility. You know, we've done this together. I'm taking responsibility. And I'd like for us to go through this together because I don't know any other way on how to get out of this. And I begged and pleaded that she would do it with me. And, you know, there were times where like I cut stuff to the bone, and those bone, like when you cut bone, it hurts.
Oh, it was probably her case. It's probably that one that she was.
And those are still some scars left that we still talk about every now and then when we go out to dinner and stuff. But we got intense, we got focused, we got on the same plan, and we didn't argue about it. I think that's the number one thing, that we just didn't fight about it because neither one of us knew any better. We were just doing the best we could with what we had. And we just followed the plan. We turned on Financial Peace University every week, whether we wanted to go to it or not. We didn't miss. And then we did the work. And I think that's the most important thing. You just have to grab your spouse by the hand, go on a dream date night, right? And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's going to be Starbucks. And just say, hey, this is what I want for our family. What do you want for our family? Especially this is coming from the person that wants to make progress, right? That's listening to Dave Ramsey, that's listening to Better Pockets podcast, that's listening to Matt and Lars and AJ on YouTube or Instagram, right? They're seeing the stuff, they're hearing it, and just say, you know, this is what I want. What do you want? And then just fall on the sword and be humble and say, I don't know how to get us there, but I do know that if we go and walk this together, right? It's in the Bible that, or I don't know if it's the stories in the Bible, that one ox can pull X amount of pounds, the other ox can pull Y amount of pounds, but if the two ox are yoked together, they can pull 10,000 pounds. So you and your spouse need to be yoked together, walking in the same direction. Now you can go learn information faster, come back and slow down. But you got to reattach that hitch, because if you pull your spouse, you're just pulling them into the ground. Walk together. Slow down. That's the hardest thing for agents to do. They want to go sell the next house. They want to go pay off $15,000 of debt like that. Right? You will run over your spouse, male or female. If you come back, listen to Dave Ramsey on YouTube at 1.5x speed, binge watch Financial Peace University, come back and say, hey, hon, we're selling the truck. We're not ever going on vacation. And we got to eat everything in the house this week before we go to the grocery store. Like, you are toast. But if you slow down and say, hey, you want this, I want this. This is great. I don't know how to do it. Let's go find help. Maybe it's just going and buying a Dave Ramsey subscription, a Ramsey Plus. Maybe it's setting up a discovery call with Matt together. And we go through this steps in this process, but it has to be slow. It has to be slow first. When I lost 100 pounds, my goal was not to lose 100 pounds. I had no idea. I didn't even know I was 100 pounds overweight. But I did know that I could lose 10 pounds, and I could probably lose 10 pounds 10 times. Right? So if you're there, if you're at that $500,000 of debt or $25,000 of debt, it's $1,000 a month. You know, $10,000 a year is $25 a day on spending on stuff that you don't need. That's 10 grand a year. Right? So
let me ask you this. So when you've seen contrast, like folks that are really successful at this methodology versus folks that fail? You mentioned some of it, but what are some of the things we should watch out for?
Yeah. So to just wrap up that last thing, Lars. So we paid off the $500,000 in 40 months. I struggled through real estate 17, 18, and 19. 3 years ago, I made a decision. My wife and I came to EXPCon and we started looking at real estate in Las Vegas. I mean, if you're in Las Vegas for EXPCon this week, please get outside. It's 62 degrees in the morning and it's 87 degrees in the afternoon. And you won't see a cloud for 4 days. So please get outside. We experienced that. We went on a journey to say, hey, could we build a business online or that was location independent? So we could come and we could figure out where we could move, because we moved from Washington, D.C. Stone, concrete, glass, central, hot pavement, cars, traffic everywhere, humidity, rain, snow. And over the next 36 months, we stacked up close to $250,000 of cash. We increased our income significantly through Zoom and Melinda, a new career with Melinda that was from home. And 120 days ago, we closed on nearly $1 million house in Summerlin, Nevada. We're 7 years ago, eight and a half years ago, we were $500,000 in debt. We could not breathe. 8 years later, we're living in a gorgeous home on the outskirts of Nevada with 100% predictable reoccurring income on the 1st, 15th, and 21st of the month. And that's where you all can be. And the good news is, because I've done it now, it's not going to take you 8 years. Right? That's what the internet's for. That's why people like myself and Lars are able to reach back and connect and bring people along and speed them up faster. A few of the pitfalls that are the dragons, the ninjas with the swords that are around the corners that you don't even know exist. And I think a lot of it comes down to ego and just, looking at the mirror. Ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, we are not guaranteed our next sale. So do not spend the money before it hits your bank account. I would plan the money, be intentional with the money, but do not spend it until it hits your bank account. Do not allocate it, right? Do not mentally go on that vacation until $10,000 comes in, $5,000's coming home, and whatever. Right? It's the path of money. Don't make that next hire because you have 14 closings under contract and you need an admin. My goodness, save up the money first. 14 can be 7 real fast if interest rates go from 7 to 8. Sorry, it's not closed until it's closed. And just be wise, right? I would say one of the things, the mistakes that agents make is just don't, say it out loud. When I was an alcoholic and going through all the stuff of rehab and recovery, I'm like, man, I'm going to go spend $4 on paper and nicotine. I'm going to light it on fire and I'm going to inhale chemicals into my lungs while I'm going through McDonald's and eating a fabricated quarter pounder, and then go to the bar and drink 14 Coors Lights. I mean, that just sounds amazingly healthy. Right? So if you just say the stupid stuff we're doing out loud, and we're all doing it, I think it will help bring awareness to the situation of what we can do differently.
That's awesome. Opting in for your book is a good way to get into your world. I did it. I opted in. The next page is getting into the Facebook group. A few questions to answer. So I would say everyone do that. I'm gonna get a copy of the book as well. Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
It is that, Facebook and Instagram. I mean, all of my stuff is all open. So I mean, guys, as real estate agents, I will help as many people as I possibly can. Obviously, the more people that raise their hand puts a good pressure on me to go create things that don't currently exist. So reach out, right? I'm here in the world to help you all win financially and live a better life that you're called to go live. I just do it through the lens of finances, and that's just, that's my calling, and that's what I'm able to do. So Instagram, Facebook, or the budget hacking Facebook group is fantastic.
Yeah, this was amazing. Would you pray us out?
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, please look over this entire amazing group of real estate agents who are, if they're traveling this week, make sure that they're safe and their families are safe. And, I just encourage you, Lord, to speak to them and walk with them on their journey of life and business and money, handling money your way, your calling. We know that you own it all, Lord, and you just call us to manage it for you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right, brother, I appreciate it. We'll definitely have to figure out ways to stay in each other's world and get you back here. And this has been really inspirational. This is the kind of stuff nobody talks about. It's kind of on the outskirts. We just hope it, hope everything works out, and I don't think that's a good strategy. So
I'm just going to go sell 36 houses this year and figure it out later.
Yeah, really, really good. If there's anything I can do to help you, I'll definitely have you on the spring summit. We do an event that I'll have you on that for an hour.
Cool. Let's do it.
So good. All right, guys, be good. Much love and respect. We'll see you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for being here, buddy.
You bet. Take care.
Thanks.